Hey, yo, what's up? Shit They Don't Tell You is a Castbox original produced in partnership with Studio 71. Do you know that? What's funny about this?
Sorry,
I happen to think it's very great that Studio 71 is a partnership. Okay. You think it's a joke? You think it's a big joke?
I think it is. Yes, I don't think it's a joke. No, I'm serious. Castbox is the fastest growing, highest rated podcast app on both iOS and Android. It's not a joke.
Oh, yeah? Well, let me tell you something that's real funny then. That's where you can find all your favorite podcasts. You think that's funny too? You think it's a big joke?
No, that's not a joke. Again, that's not a joke. You can actually find all your favorite podcasts. You can also listen to Shit They Don't Tell You wherever you get your podcasts, but we really hope you give Castbox a shot.
Because we think it's the best. No, we don't know. We don't know it's the best, but we do think it's the best.
Is that a joke?
No.
Okay, good.
Hey everybody. So Nikki and I recorded this episode a couple months ago, and since then the cryptocurrency markets have swung big time on the downside. So I just wanted to preface that with this because we were talking during this episode it was sort of like not really an uptrend. It was just things were looking better. So if we talk like, hey, things are going up, and you're like looking at your phone and you're like, what the fuck? Everything just melted down a couple days ago. That's why we're talking this way. This in no way, in my view, shakes my view of these markets. The extreme volatility is kind of part of the crypto game, and that's something that you have to consider if you're looking at getting into this stuff. So I just wanted to preface this episode with that. And, this is not financial advice. I'm just a crypto hobby guy, and I'm very interested in the space. And I think if you're interested too, just check this out. And here's the episode.
Why didn't anyone tell me?
Hello, welcome back to Shit They Don't Tell You. I'm Nikki Limo, and I'm here with Steve Greene.
Hi. Hello. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you here today.
It's my honor.
He's our guest today because we don't have a guest, and because we've done 2 episodes that have to do with money so far. We did how Shit They Don't Tell You about investing with Joe Jitsikawa, and then that was episode 2. It was a really good episode. You should definitely listen to it. And then we also just now recorded with Gabby Dunn about money management. But we got a lot of questions about investing in cryptocurrency because we talked briefly, just barely touched on it in Joe's episode. And people have a lot of questions about it. You know, people want to know more about it, but it's a scary thing. It's new. It's different. It seems like it might be shady because it's so new.
Because by design, the media tells you that it's shady. Yep. Yeah.
And so Steve actually has had a little bit of success with it. And I think I'm now a master. The most knowledgeable person I know about crypto, and he could joke about him being a master, but honestly, he really knows his stuff.
No, look, I'm not an expert. I'm a hobby guy for crypto, right? There's a lot of people out there who know Solidity and they code this stuff, and they're the masters, right? Like I'm a guy I'm a hobbyist for crypto.
But as like an everyday Joe person, yes, I feel like you are able to answer all of the questions that I have about crypto, and I think you're a lot of help to a lot of people that want to get into it and don't know how to start.
Great. Well, I hope so. Let's find out.
Okay, so let's say I'm new. I know nothing about crypto. Why are there so many coins? Like, what do they all mean? It's overwhelming. Can you explain some of that?
Basically, I would say a majority of the coins are all copies of either Bitcoin or Ethereum. Most now are copies of Ethereum. Earlier on, it was mostly just, honestly, everyone just taking the Bitcoin code and duplicating it.
Yeah, what is a Bitcoin? What's a Bitcoin?
A Bitcoin is, it's like well, first of all, it's all rooted on the blockchain, right? Like a Bitcoin is just basically a line of code that is uniquely your code, right? Like the exact, if you were to take the letters and numbers that make up that Bitcoin, there's only one of them that is yours, right? And
so it's like an address almost.
Yeah, and they can all be broken up. So you don't have to have one Bitcoin to use Bitcoin. Like you can send me 0.1 Bitcoins or 0.01 Bitcoins. It's not just, a lot of people think I can't buy a Bitcoin. They're $9,000. but you don't have to have a whole Bitcoin to use a Bitcoin. But basically, a Bitcoin it's like if a U.S. dollar, you could scan it and then you could send it all over the world. Like, what kind of value would that have? And right now, you can do that digitally with banking, but you have to have someone's permission to use the banking system. Someone has to facilitate that transaction. And with Bitcoin, there's no individual doing that. Like, it's all decentralized. So many different computers all over the world are validating these transactions.
So it's not controlled by one entity.
Right. And so it's all just like the internet. It's all like, if I read a bad article about myself on the internet, I cannot go destroy the internet by blowing up a building or taking the power grid out in a certain area. Like, that's not going to destroy the internet in the same way that you cannot destroy Bitcoin just by attacking it in one location. Like, the Bitcoin's decentralized. It's being hosted all over the world, being transacted constantly all over the world. And each miner, like, they're constantly solving these complex, like, they call them yeah, exactly. But they're basically solving these complex, what do you call them?
Math problems?
It's like an algorithm. It's there's a bunch of blocks. I mean, I don't know how much you want to get into that.
Well, yeah, I kind of just want to know how it works and like what gives a Bitcoin a value. How is that determined?
Well, that is determined by what you like. What's your bracelet worth? Like, it's worth what someone's willing to pay for it, right?
Right.
Like that's what a Bitcoin is. It's what people all over the world are willing to pay for it at a certain point.
So it's based on supply and demand?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And Bitcoin has a finite supply. So one day, you won't be able to mine any more Bitcoins.
So there'll be no more supply.
That's right. So all the Bitcoins will have been distributed, and then it's just up to us to distribute the 23 million or whatever, 22 something million Bitcoins that are in existence. There's only going to be that many forever. It's not like the Federal Reserve when they fuck something up, they can go print more money, or the banks fuck something up so the Federal Reserve prints more money and send it to the doorstep. With Bitcoin, there's only going to be this amount of Bitcoins
Yeah,
forever.
I kind of want to talk about that too, just for people out there that may be thinking, oh, so it's just made up money. So you just like made up a math problem and now like it's fake money. I mean, what do you think our Federal Reserve is? It's like if they run out of money, they just print more money.
Dude,
they make it up.
There's a great meme out there of in Zimbabwe, there's like $10 trillion bill.
Yeah.
And it's just a perfect example of how.
And they can't even buy groceries with it.
Yeah, but they made a $10 trillion bill. That's $10 trillion. Doesn't mean fuck all.
It doesn't mean anything.
But they're exactly what you're saying. Things only have value for what you're willing to pay for it.
Based on the
you
value
drive a car off a lot, you're not going to be able to, like a brand new car you bought, you're not going to be able to sell it for the same amount.
Well, it used to be that our money was backed by gold, and now that's not true.
Not at all. Yeah, that changed under Nixon, and now. The money is backed by FDIC insurance, and that's only up to $250,000. And there's a lot of different.
Yeah, and what does that mean? Like, it's up to $250,000, but then inflation makes it so that what if one day, $250,000 is like the $1 trillion bill,
not?
Where it doesn't really.
Hey man, when you're
buy
constantly
anything.
just printing money to solve our problems, you can't really scratch your head too hard wondering where all this Internet of Money stuff came around.
Okay. So Bitcoin is like a thing that it's made. The value is driven from these problems that are solved. Well, what's the difference between?
Well, no, that's not where the value is
okay.
driven. The value is determined by what people are willing to pay for it all over the world.
Sure, but by supply.
The supply, supply though was already determined.
There's a finite amount
at its beginning, exactly.
Yes, exactly.
And so, in order to make a Bitcoin, you have to expend a certain amount of resources to generate that Bitcoin by solving a block. By earning a block reward by solving these blocks, using processing power to solve the blocks.
I see. But so what's the difference between that and Ethereum or Litecoin or all of these other coins that are out there?
Litecoin's the same thing, but there's different developing teams working on these different coins, right? Like a lot of there's different people working on Bitcoin than people working on Litecoin, even though Litecoin was basically just a copy of the Bitcoin code. Now they've gone two different directions where Bitcoin's doing a lot of different stuff than Litecoin, and Litecoin's working on their own solution to. Everyone always has the same problem, which is scaling. Like,
Yeah.
how do we keep allowing billions and billions of transactions a day, of dollars worth of transactions a day, or of Satoshis worth of transactions a day, and not clog the network? So everyone's working on scaling solutions. So Bitcoin has Lightning Network.
Okay, and what's the purpose of this? Like, why did this become invented?
Well, in 2008, like just after the housing crisis, we all kind of figured out pretty early that if you want, there's no, banking justice out there. Like the banks get to do whatever they want.
They got bailed out
with our money,
right?
And then if they fuck up, then we bail them out. And if you fuck up, you lose your house, you lose your car, you lose whatever you have. So Satoshi Nakamoto came up with Bitcoin, and that's where it all started.
Decentralized place, so that
there's no one entity that controls the whole thing.
Gotcha. That's really important. So let's talk about the marketplaces to buy and sell cryptocurrencies. Like, how do I get into it? Like, let's say I have money. I'm like, okay, I want to get on board. Like, how do I get in there?
Most of the regular folk use Coinbase. I don't like Coinbase that much, but it's a great, easy way of getting people in. So you could use Coinbase, but what you should do is register your account on Coinbase and then use GDAX.com
Why?
to buy, because you won't pay any fees because it's for traders mostly. So if you register on Coinbase, you'll have the same account on GDAX because they're owned by the same company, and so you'll be able to buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash. Those are the main ones that Coinbase has on Coinbase, and then you'll have your account on Coinbase, and then you'll buy it via GDAX.
And there won't be any fees.
No fees.
Okay. Okay. So, is this
which can be crazy, by the way? They can be hundreds of dollars of fees.
Is this insured? Like, how do I know my money is not just going out to like?
Well, Coinbase in particular
space?
is FDIC insured up to $250,000.
Okay.
So if you get, but there's a big caveat to that, where if you fuck up and you get hacked because of something you did,
Okay, so that's what I wanted to talk about too. Is that, like, I've heard a lot of people that got hacked and they lost all their money. Like, how do I?
Well, there's a lot.
that?
I mean, dude, hacking is $1 billion industry in this space. Like, there's a huge marketplace for hacking. So I recommend anybody, like, if you have more than $70 worth of cryptocurrency, and you think it's going to go somewhere, which, I mean, I imagine that's why you bought it, you should buy a hardware wallet, like a Ledger Nano S is one that I think is great. Like, a lot of people like Trezor wallets, and basically, you don't own your cryptocurrency unless you own the keys to your cryptocurrency. And by that I mean the private key, the actual thing that means that you own it. Like, when you hold it on an exchange, you don't own your crypto. Your crypto is owned by the exchange, because the exchange hosts the private keys. They have the private keys. So you leave your coins on the exchange, but the exchange controls your coins.
So they could get hacked, and then you could lose your coins.
Potentially. Yeah, exactly.
But with this Nano thing,
and that happens all the time.
Within the Nano, you own.
You own the keys, exactly. You own the private keys that control your coins.
What if I lose that?
With the Ledger Nano S, as long as you have the 22, or I think it's 24 word seed, or it's called a seed, but it's like a password. Yeah. That you set it up with. Yeah. Then you will always own your coins. Like, so even if it gets damaged, you drop into water. Yeah. It gets lost. As long as you get another one, you can restore your account using the 24 word seed.
Okay, so, like, how do I choose what coin to invest in?
Well, there's so much out there, man. I recommend, to new people, I really recommend just going with, like, the top 20. But even the top 20, like, if you go to CoinMarketCap and you look at the top 20 coins, first of all, I'm not a financial advisor. Yeah. This is not me giving you financial advice. I'm just telling you my experience is 90% of this shit is scam coins. Like,
I'm going to stop being the interviewer for a second, because I think this is really important with when people get into buying cryptocurrency, and they get into it because they want they want to invest their money in something, and they hear people are making tons of money off it, like, and they want to make tons of money too, and they don't want to miss the boat, and so they're getting in for the sole purpose of making tons of money.
I'll be a millionaire.
Yeah.
In a week.
These are the people that make terrible decisions, because now what you're doing, because you don't know what you're investing in, you become an emotional investor. So when the money goes up, you get really excited, and when it starts going down, you fucking panic and fear for your life.
Sell low,
and you sell.
You buy high, sell low.
Yeah, when you're like, when it's going down, you're like, oh my god, it's crashing, all my money's gonna disappear, and you sell at a much lower price than what you paid for it, which means you lost a lot of money, and then it starts going back up again, and you're like, oh no, I'm gonna miss the boat, and then you invest back in at a much higher rate than what you just sold it for, and that's how you lose all your money. So just in general, I would say, if you're gonna invest in something, make sure that you know what the fuck you're investing in. Like, make sure that it's something that you actually believe in it. So that way, when the price dips, as long as you believe in the company and where the technology is going, that you shouldn't have these panics, because you know that you did your research, you know you bought it at a good price at a good time, and that there's a lot of room for growth.
And there's a lot of great subreddits you can go to find out about the coins that you know that you're maybe interested in. Like, you don't have to just go to the official sites and look at all the official information. Like, you can go to a lot of third-party places and listen to community consensus about certain things. Now, a lot of community consensus can be crazy. Like, in my opinion, like, there's this one coin called Tron. I'll never get over it. I think people are out of their minds buying Tron because the CEO just pumps the shit out of that coin. But you also have to make the argument that with thousands of coins, like, these guys have to pump their coins, like, or at least try to build some sort of excitement, advertising, marketing for their coins, because there's such a huge market for all this stuff.
But that's what I mean, is that there are certain coins that have an amazing tech behind it, where you can actually do research and like really get excited about the tech, like be excited about what these companies are actually doing. And I don't think a lot of people know that. I think a lot of people just think Bitcoin, it's as like this thing, like a coin, like a stock. You know, like, yes, people don't see it as like as what the business actually does, because when you're investing in stocks, you can see the actual company. You can see, like, oh, I'm investing in Apple. Apple makes
compute. And I own part of their company now.
And like, I know what Apple is. They make my cell phone. They make my computer. So I have an idea of what it is that I'm buying into. But when you talk about Bitcoin, it's like, well, what does Bitcoin do? I don't know. Like, I don't know what is.
It's just a store of value, really.
Right.
And you can use it anywhere too. You can.
But there are different coins that have more than that.
Yeah. So, well, they all have different functions. And
different functions,
a lot of Ethereum-based tokens, and there's another one called Neo. There's a lot of different platform tokens that are almost like an iPhone, right? Where, what is an iPhone? An iPhone lets you make calls and all that stuff, but that's not why people like iPhones. People like iPhones because they're basically developer platforms. Like, where do all these apps come from that we all like so much? Like, they're basically come from an open source community. I mean, a lot of it can be closed source too, but they come from a community of developers who are trying to make their own particular app, and that's how crypto is, especially with Ethereum-based tokens. Like, people are using the Ethereum platform to build an application, and there's a lot of different ideas, which is what Nikki's talking about with different tech, but they're all kind of using the Ethereum blockchain to transact.
Yeah.
Which is how they.
Well, because that's when I started getting interested in it, because if I don't understand something, it's really hard for me to like put my money into it, no matter how much people are making, because otherwise it's just a gamble. It's just like, you hear people go win in Vegas all the time. Does that mean that you should go to Vegas and put all your money on the first thing you see? No, because you don't know anything about it. And this is, by the way, how Warren Buffett invests, according to his biography, is like he does a lot of research in the companies that he invests in, and then he buys stock in those companies. Yeah, he's not. He doesn't diversify. He invests in companies that he really believes in, and that a lot of time means that you do a lot of research on the back end so that you know that your money has a higher potential for growing. And so when I heard more about the tech part of Ether and of some of the coins that are powered by Ether, that's what really got me interested, because I really think that those things are going to change everything.
Just to catch a lot of people up with that, like, so Ethereum is it basically like they use what's called smart contracts, which allows you to you can track like not it's not just like okay you buy like why don't you buy meat online or why don't you buy veggies online? Because you don't know where it's coming from, you don't trust the quality of it, right? Like you need a middleman. You need to be able to stand in the store and look at it and go, that looks good, that doesn't look good, right? Well, with Ethereum, with smart contracts, you're able to track in the code of like when you look at the actual code of that Ethereum, that particular, like if you take one Ethereum, right? If you were to look at the code, like the unique signature of the code gets added to as it gets transacted, right? So if you give me an Ethereum, that Ethereum now has added code on the end of it. So now it's uniquely my Ethereum. It's no longer yours. And that's how Bitcoin works too. But with Ethereum, what's so cool about it is with smart contracts, you can track what the supply chain was in a way that no one's been able to really do. Like where you can have verifiable confirmation of where, say, it's not even just like, say there's an E. coli breakout for beef. Right? What do we always do? We throw away like thousands and thousands of pounds of meat because we're not sure where it came from exactly, right? Well, with smart contracts, you can track where, not like the farm that it came from. You can track it down to the stall where the cow was. Like you can track it to that kind of detail. And that's just like the beginning to me of what smart contracts can do. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's like the next, I think, rail of the economy, which is why I'm super excited about it, which is why I laugh when the media is always like, isn't all this just for drug smuggling and for – I'm like, excuse me, every time that people – or anytime you see a drug raid, what do you see on TV? Pallets and pallets of cash. You're not seeing pallets and pallets of hard drives with Bitcoin on it, okay? Like everyone – like you gotta realize that there's an agenda out there where the banks are being directly challenged by this type of tech. And they don't, I mean, dude, the CEO of JP Morgan Chase is like, people who buy Bitcoins are fucking idiots, right? And then like, what is it, like a month later or whatever, you find out JP Morgan Chase is starting to do a bunch of Bitcoin stuff. So there's a reason why they always do this stuff. And like every couple months, there's like some article that comes out about how China's about to ban Bitcoin and then they don't. So you got to realize that, the market manipulators are constantly manipulating. That's why what I like to do is just buy and hold. You buy it and you hold it. Yeah,
buy and hold, but you have the confidence to buy and hold because you know where it's going or like what their companies are trying to do.
It's all speculative. We don't know anything.
It's all speculative, absolutely. But the potential of what some of this tech can do and the way that it can change the world just like the internet changed the world is what is, to me, the most exciting about it.
Yeah, and I think this is the next iteration of the internet of money. Like where like you go to a new country, right, and you get ripped off as soon as you set foot there because you got to do their bullshit exchange, go through whatever their currency's worth versus your currency's worth. And I think that's the next domino to fall, like where you won't have to do that anymore. We don't even, I mean, talk about having a cashless society, right? Like that's already happening in a lot of like Southeast Asian countries where they use their phone, they use like pay as you go, like apps where, wherever marketplace they're at, they scan their phones and that's how they pay for items. So like all this stuff, I think like it's no longer going to be like, I'm going to a new country, I got to go change out my money. It's going to be, you get there and you're fine. You don't have to worry about it. Mm-hmm. And you're going to potentially be able to transact anything for anything, anywhere, and not have to have anyone give you permission to do it.
Like pesos for dollars or dollars to Bitcoin
exactly
or like
right.
Whatever.
Yes.
Any type of currency.
But you can even break it down. There's a project that I think is cool. They're called Omisego. And their entire use case is we're gonna unbank the banks, right? We're gonna make it so that people who live in like Southeast Asia, people who don't have access to banking because everyone over there has cell phones, nobody has access to banking comparatively. Like it's really for rich people, and there's huge swaths, like we're talking billions of people who don't even have bank accounts, right? In these regions, and so this is about bringing them back into the economy by making it so they can just use their phone to instantly transact with whoever they're doing business with, and they can accept any currency like that they want, and you will transact with them any currency that you want. And it happens because they're building a huge decentralized exchange that has like crazy amounts of liquidity on it, so that as soon as you're buying whatever it is that you're buying, someone else's money is getting exchanged for your money. So like you want to pay me in Canadian dollars, but I don't accept Canadian dollars. Well, it's going to take your money and exchange it without you even knowing it and pay me in Canadian dollars. And I'm going to receive whatever currency I chose to receive. So you can pay me in whatever currency you choose to receive, and I get paid in whatever currency I choose to receive instantly without you even knowing. If they pull it off, that'll change the world.
Definitely.
I mean, that's the kind of tech that is so exciting about this space. And there's so many use cases. There's another one called VeChain that's doing like a supply chain tracking thing where they're able to, like what I was talking about with E. coli, like they're able to track products, like how, like in China, one big industry is they pretend like they're selling like high valued wines, and they just print labels so that it looks like it, and they ship it over here and people buy it, and they're like, this isn't what I paid for at all, but they're getting ripped off, right? So this tracks the supply chain the whole way through. So there's no way to dummy it, right? Like there's a bunch of use cases for this stuff that is just mind blowing. So to me, like when people are like, oh yeah, all this stuff doesn't do anything yet. I mean, what it can do, what it's capable of, is going to change the world, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I don't even know very much about it. I just hear the tidbits that you talk about. But what didn't you say something about how Ether, all of us have computers that are just sitting at home.
Yes.
Right, and you're at work all day, or you're wherever you are, and your computer's just sitting there, and it's a hub of power. Well, is it Ether that can use your computer? They basically rent your.
Oh, it's Gollum.
Gollum. Oh, Gollum.
But well, technically, what you're saying is true though. If you're mining, like you're using your computer power to process, to validate transactions.
Yeah.
But what you're talking about is Gollum, which is a really exciting Ethereum-based project where you rent out or lease your computer processing power while you're at work. So like, how many computers do you have at home? So you have, I mean, most people in America have at least two, right? They have. Or mom and dad have a computer, or kid has a computer, mom has a computer.
Yeah. Or you have a laptop and a desktop.
And most people leave on their computers all day. Well, what if you could earn money, passive income, like just by leasing your computer power to the Gollum network, which basically pays you in Gollum in return for using your processing power. It's just absolutely crazy stuff.
Kind of like the bank of power, huh? Like
it's the internet of power.
Yeah.
And that's what's so crazy about all this stuff. So you're able to, and this is already, by the way, they already launched what's called Brass, which is it's basically like they actually have it up and running where you can, if you're Pixar, I mean, they haven't gotten this yet, but if you're Pixar and you want to save money on using these rendering farms that they all have, you can just have the internet render it for you. I mean, and maybe you don't want to do that because there's some security issues. Like if you're working on something, like if Star Wars is doing a scene where Han Solo gets his head cut off and that gets out on people's computers, it potentially someone could see that somehow. But that's all. This is all very early, right? Like I would imagine, like in the later iterations of Gollum, that wouldn't be something.
Yeah, like
have to worry
how
about.
in the early days we had to like hear that AOL sound and like the guy logging in, and it was run through your phone. And no, nobody has it run through their phone. You don't even know the days. If you're under 25 years old right now, you don't even know what we had to go through. I remember trying to sneak on the internet. Like when my dad told me my cutoff time for the internet was like 10 p.m. and then I'd sneak on it too, and then he'd pick up the phone and then he'd know
You
that
have
I
to
was
deal
on
with
the
it.
internet.
Hey, you deal with it. You're using the internet, you can't use the phone.
Yeah, you can't use the phone if someone's on the internet, and if someone doesn't know you're on the internet and they pick up the phone and try to use it, it ruins whatever you were just doing on the internet.
Yeah, but so Gollum is cool because there's so many use cases that I can think of where, I mean, just think about all the mining power what is it? The amount of processing power or of actual like power, like coal, nuclear, that gets expanded when people are making bitcoins is like enough to power Denmark for a year or something like that. So it's a lot of energy. Mm-hmm. So Gollum could potentially be used to mine as well. Like you could mine crypto using the Gollum network. So it's exciting stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what's But to me, like between Gollum and Omisego and VeChain, and there's and then even just owning Ethereum, which is the master blockchain of all that. Like I think there's more transactions happening on Ethereum than any other coin right now. It changes all the time, but right now that's Ethereum. Some people out there who are big Neo guys are like, well, fucking Neo's gonna take over, dude. Hey, it's okay, dude. I'm not saying they're not. I'm just a fan of all of this stuff. So
you're speaking crypto language because you're on the Reddit boards all the time. But what's a Neo coin?
Well, Neo's just a different. It's a similar idea to Ethereum, but they're doing it a different way with a different blockchain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Different
gotcha.
platform.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a Chinese Ethereum. That's what the meme is about it. Is that it's Chinese Ethereum, but it's got its own developer community, and it's just got a different way of doing it. And they're hoping to solve scalability in a different way.
What would you say the biggest advantages are to investing in crypto, and then the biggest disadvantages? Like, what's the pros and cons list? Like a quick one.
Advantages, I think the sky's the limit. I really do, and I think the disadvantages is that the bottom layer of hell is the depths. Really, I mean, it could all go either way. Like it really is that volatile. But I think what's so cool about the space is all the different solutions to it. Like there's stable coins out there. One of them's called Tether's one of them, but I don't like Tether as much because nobody really quite knows that they have the money they say that they have, like to back the tokens. Tether is like a stable coin. It's supposed to mean one Tether is $1 US, and it kind of algorithmically keeps itself to always be valued at $1.
So do you mean like the dollar like today, or a dollar like if it inflates?
No, like always worth like 100 cents of American money. Like whatever that is constantly.
So whatever that is.
Yeah.
I see.
But the idea is that
it would be really cool if they like locked in whatever we have right now,
Be tight.
It's like $1.
Lock your funds.
Yeah.
Secure your funds. But what's cool about that, the idea of a stable coin is that, if there's a marketplace tank, right, which happens every couple months, like the market goes up, the market goes down, the market bulls, the market bears, you have a safe place, quote unquote, to put your money while things run down. That's always worth like $1 each. Mm-hmm. So if you put, say you have $1,000 in Ethereum and you're like, oh shit, I think the market's about to go down. You sell your Ethereum into Tether and you just chill there, and then you wait for the market to go down, and then you can buy back for way more Ethereum if you timed it right.
That's cool.
Or if you fuck it up, you sold into Tether, then the whole market runs up, and then you buy back into Ethereum and you get way less. So there's a give and take to that. But I don't like Tether as much because there's really no accounting for all that stuff yet that I've seen. I'm not criticizing Tether necessarily. I just haven't seen enough to know. But there's a really cool one called DAI, that is, from what I've been able to tell, doing it the right way. Mm-hmm. DAI.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I want to get into some more stuff about crypto, but we have to take an ad break. Our favorite time of the day.
We love ad breaks. Let's do it. Let's make the money.
We love cat breaks too.
Love a cat break.
Hello, hope you enjoyed the podcast so far. We're taking a break to talk more to you about our podcast.
If you're enjoying the podcast, you should rate it 5 stars because that really helps us out a whole bunch.
It does help us out a lot. If you rate and review us, we would love you. We love you for doing that. Thank you for listening. This is a CastBox original, produced in partnership with Studio 71. CastBox is awesome. We love them.
They're the dopest, most sickest company on the earth, in my opinion.
It sounds like I'm trying to induct you into a cult, but no, we really like the app. It's great.
Listen, if cults were as good as the CastBox app, yeah, guess what? Everyone would be in cults.
You'd be kicked out of this cult.
Every single person would be in cults.
It's a terrible cult
if they're as good
leader.
as this app is, I'll tell you that.
Okay.
But unfortunately, they're not, which is why you should probably stay away from cults.
Can you pass some of that Kool-Aid over here?
It's delicious. Try it. Hi, so you're thinking about getting into crypto. Well, don't. It'll destroy your life forever. That's right. Hi, my name is Steve, and I'm here with Don'tGetIntoCrypto.com. Don'tGetIntoCrypto.com is about, really just familiarizing yourself with a lot of the negative sides of cryptocurrencies. Did you know that sometimes people use cryptocurrencies to transact drugs? You've heard of drugs, right? Well, they use cryptocurrencies for that. So if you buy cryptocurrencies, it's like you're buying drugs. And this is Bin the ad.
All right. I don't know how we got sponsored by people that don't like cryptocurrency, but
man,
that was
we gotta shill all
interesting.
that stuff though. Gotta shill it. So important. Don't buy that crypto. So important.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's say you got me interested. I would like to purchase a Bitcoin, and I have no idea where to start. Can you just like explain to me, like I'm a 5-year-old, like I don't know why a 5-year-old would have money to invest, but maybe they do. And how would I get started? It's like just step by step.
So easiest way that I can think of, and I don't particularly enjoy this way, but it's I think the best way for everyone to get in, like as far as like the easiest thing that people are probably used to in their lives. So go to Coinbase, register, then buy on GDAX.com, either Ethereum or Bitcoin, whatever you want to get. I recommend one of those two, or Bitcoin Cash, but I recommend one of either Ethereum or Bitcoin because you can trade those for a lot of the altcoins that if you're interested in. Say you want to buy Gollum, or you wanted to buy Neo, or you wanted to buy
I feel like
Omisego
from what you've talked about, I feel like Ether has more options.
It's the like I said, it's the most used as far as the most transacted. Like if you look at the entire amount of coins out there, like most of them are what's called ERC20 tokens, which is Ethereum blockchain based. It just means they use the Ethereum blockchain to transact. So if you wanted to buy, say, Ethereum, okay, you go there and then you buy it. You link a bank account through Coinbase. You buy it on GDAX so you avoid the fees. Then you could chill with it in Coinbase, but I don't recommend that. I recommend getting a hardware wallet.
Like a nano ledger.
Yeah, I recommend that. But then, okay, so then now you have it. You have it on the site, say. And then when you get your ledger wallet, you're going to set it up using the instructions. They make it pretty easy. And then you're going to send your cryptocurrency to your ledger wallet, whatever that exact unique address is that it generates, that is now your address. You're going to send your crypto there so that it's stored on the blockchain. That's all you're doing. You're not storing it on a little device. You're storing it on the blockchain itself.
Yeah.
And so that way you own the keys, you own the coins.
The device is just a thing that shows you what it is, right?
Well, what it does is it interfaces with, like, say, mycrypto.com or myetherwallet.com. It interfaces with those, like, they're almost like storefronts that allow you to interface with the blockchain. That's all that they do. And they tell that they let you sign transactions on the blockchain using your private key. Okay. But they never expose your private key, which is cool. So they always keep your private key on lock.
So once I have that, if I just wanted an Ether or a Bitcoin, I would just chill.
Yeah. Once you buy it, and then you send it to your address on the blockchain, and then you just chill, and it's safe. Chill.
And if you want to get in like if you
Safer.
start doing research and you want to get into some of the altcoins or whatever, you really believe in one of them, then you already have your money in Ethereum, which is what you would use to buy.
Right, what you'd use to trade.
Yeah, because a lot of people are like, well, why don't I just buy OMG straight up? But you can't.
You can't.
You have to put it into Bitcoin or Ether first.
Yes. You have to trade them. It's almost like when you go to another country, if you want to buy something at a food stand, you can't just trade your American dollar in most cases. You have to trade it for whatever the local currency is before you can trade that for the sandwich.
That makes sense. Okay, cool. So all of you that were asking.
And those exchanges, by the way, Poloniex is one. Binance is another one.
Yeah.
Qcoin, KUCOIN is one. IDEX is one that people use. IDEX. A lot of great choices. And make sure that whatever you do, you don't get phished. That's a big thing too. People sending you bogus links that expose your private keys because you click the link and then you try to interface with their site, and they're just really trying to fish you for your keys. So make sure to check those links and use. There's one called, I want to check it real quick, but it's called, I think, Kryptonite, and it's basically like an app that you get on Google Chrome, and it makes sure that all the sites you visit are safe. It has like a little green icon.
Extension?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It has a green icon upper right corner that keeps keeps you on sites that are on the up and up.
So with this all growing and expanding, is it being regulated at all?
Yeah, there's some stuff I know in many different countries. All the landscapes are all different. I know in upstate New York they had like a whole regulatory nightmare because this one guy. There's actually a great documentary about that, exactly that. Called The Rise of Bitcoin or something like that. It's on Netflix. The Rise and Rise of Bitcoin on Netflix, and it goes into how this one guy, I can't remember if he's like an assemblyman or whatever, city councilman guy.
Yeah.
He created a crazy regulatory environment for Bitcoin, squeezed everyone out of New York for Bitcoin. And then he quit and became the guy
that helps you understand the regulation.
That helps you understand the regulation nightmare that he created. So there's a lot of that going on. So a lot of people go like, well, crypto, like anything else, I think regulation can be great, right? But I think regulation early can really stifle a new tech like crypto. But there's definitely a lot of scams in crypto. So I got no problem with a little bit being regulated. Absolutely not. Yeah, like I said, but a lot of the scams, man, they can be avoided. You gotta really use your brain about what you're clicking on. Yeah. Like people who go to porn on machines where you're transacting with your private key are fucking crazy. You guys are crazy out there. Yeah. I don't know how you do any of that. You got to be very careful about what you're clicking on and where. And scams on Twitter and stuff, by the way, real quick. A lot of bullshit accounts. They'll go on like Vitalik Buterin, who's the founder of Ethereum's Twitter, and whatever he tweets, they'll reply and make their account look like they're Vitalik Buterin and saying like, I'm giving away Ethereum right now. 1 Ethereum for every 0.1 Ethereum you send me. So if you send me 0.1 Ethereum, I'll give you 1 Ethereum. And a lot of fucking idiots are doing that. Wow. Because it looks like Vitalik Buterin tweeted it.
Yeah, and if it sounds too good to be true, I mean.
That's why his name now is Vitalik not giving away ETH Buterin on Twitter. Because he's great, man. That's awesome. Yeah, he's great.
What do you think about the stuff they're doing in Venezuela?
So they did a crypto in Venezuela called Petro. Mm-hmm. I think it's total scam, total nightmare, where they're basically leveraging the country's resources, which they're already doing, against the population and using this to raise money for the government, which is also suppressing the population. So yeah, shit like that's always going to go on. No matter who you are, you could make a crypto. I could make a crypto right now and call it Steve Coin, and I could back it by whatever the hell I want. So that doesn't, to me, mean that crypto as a whole is bad, which is what a lot of media outlets tried to do. Like, oh, see, this is terrible.
Yeah, I heard this ad for don'tbuycrypto.com.
Well, they're great. I got to say, they're a great company. Yeah. They're a really great company. And the owner's really great. Yeah. Yeah, Robert.
Robert.
He's
Robert.
Listening. I know he's listening.
Weird that he didn't have a last name.
No, he wouldn't give it to us.
Or he didn't have a first name. We don't know.
There you go.
Can you talk a little bit about proof of work versus proof of stake?
So proof of work is how we've all been mining. Like if you've been mining or if you've been using Bitcoin or Ethereum or any of this stuff, proof of work is how your coins have been transacted. When you send a coin, say I send you a coin. Yeah. I am not really doing anything. I just signed for the transaction, and the network is now sending you the currency, right? Mm-hmm. But that particular transaction is being validated by a community of miners, and so they're all like making sure that the transaction's happening on the up and up. So it's like, okay, I see that he sent her that, and I verify. So
that's what the blockchain is,
right? Well, that exactly. It's an infinite ledger, so you can see every transaction.
I see.
And those transactions are being constantly. It's called consensus, where everyone can see and agree that that's what happened. Okay. And so. So you basically are using a proof of work system when all these mining rigs are expending huge amounts of energy to solve these complex equations and using their processing power to transact. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, real quick, can you just, in layman's terms, tell us what a miner is?
a mining rig is like it's like your computer, right? But
Yeah.
it's a way more powerful version of that, as far as like it uses way more GPU, like graphics processor. They found a couple years ago that graphics processors can solve these equations on like these block equations like much faster than just regular processing power. And so people started to use mining rigs where you take 6 different Radeon cards and you hook them up to the same motherboard, and now you're able to blow your neighbor out of the water if he's mining too. Mm-hmm. You're able to get the block reward potentially a bigger piece of it than say he would, because you're doing more work.
I see.
But proof of stake is where
going back to proof of stake.
Yeah, it's where you stake your tokens, right? So now instead of validating transactions using a mining using mining processing power from computers, mm-hmm. You're instead running what's called a node. Well, you're running nodes for those other things as well, but you're basically your token itself is doing the work. Oh. So your token
is my Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's the car now that's driving
instead of my computer.
Instead of the processing power, yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Well, I mean, there's a bunch of different ways. In fact, it's still relatively early. No one's yet, other than Neo, and there's maybe a couple other instances where you can currently stake your Neo for what's called gas, and gas is what powers the Neo blockchain.
Okay.
And just like in the way that I've been talking about with Ethereum, like how Ether powers that blockchain.
Right.
Like gas powers the Neo blockchain. Okay. And so people stake their Neo, and they currently, I think, earn like 5% a year on as much Neo as they own. So they get that much in gas rewards, and they can immediately sell that at any time for whatever currency. I mean, they usually sell into Bitcoin or whatever to cash out. A lot of people just hold it too.
Okay. So with all the market going up and down, all these different coins you can buy, and like sometimes this one's going up and this one's going down. Can you talk a little bit about like, it seems like it would make someone want to do day trading.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about why?
Well, day trading is fine if you know what the hell you're doing, and nobody really, ever kind of knows what they're doing. But there's a lot of people out there who can show you a bank account who say, I know what I'm doing, and you can't really argue with them. So, I think day trading is, there's a whole game to it, right? Just like the stock market. Like there's day traders in the stock market, and it's very risky in the stock market, and it's very risky in crypto. I think it's ultra risky in crypto. It's like nuclear risky, right? So I don't want to hate on traders, man. It's just a different way of doing shit than I do. But what I truly hate on is margin trading. That shit's crazy to me.
What is that?
Well, it's where you're and none of you will ever do this, or you shouldn't. You really shouldn't. But it's basically you're borrowing crypto that you don't even own, and you're basically putting your crypto up as collateral and saying like, hey, if I short or if I long, like, and it works out, I get the profits, and I'll pay you back whatever I borrowed. And if I fuck up and I'm wrong, you liquidate my entire stack of whatever crypto I have.
Jeez.
And there's this one Twitter account called BitMEX Rect, which is like pretty. It's darkly hilarious because you see all of the accounts. It's plugged into one of the exchanges called BitMEX, and you see all of these people getting liquidated like constantly, and sometimes it's millions of dollars. Like it's crazy. So they're basically saying like, hey, I'm gonna borrow against this much money, and I'm putting up $9 million. And then they're like, let's ride the fucking tiger, baby. Let's go all the way, baby. And then it's like liquidated. And it treats it like a video game too, where it writes like double kill, ultra kill, omni kill, like godlike kill.
What?
Oh yeah, it's dark.
Oh my god.
And these are people just losing like fucking. You can never sit and think of all the zeros they're losing. Oh, it's nuts.
There's a channel on YouTube that you watch a lot. Is this guy?
He's my hero, man.
He used
Well,
to.
I will say he rebranded recently, and it pisses me off.
Oh.
But he, oh my god.
So he originally invested
His name is Beezy.
in BitConnect, which was a scam coin. By the way, there's a lot of like pyramid scheme type coins.
Yes.
And so this was one of those coins,
Yes.
BitConnect. And a lot of the people that got involved because like their friend was making tons of money right away, and it's and then it got shut down, and like whoever got in last just lost all their money.
Yeah, they exit scammed basically, and they had a bunch of regulatory problems in Texas and stuff. But basically, yeah, the guy just lost his complete ass, and then he immediately started doing other scammy things and filming himself like excitedly going into these. So he was super stoked. He's like, stake it till you break it, baby. He's like, we're going all the way, we're going hard. And then he would like get liquidated again. Like it was like nuts, man. And he went to 5 different scams. I think he even he was at a gas station and he even got ripped off there by putting his card in one of those fake Velcroed on like card swiper things. And he got like wrecked there too.
Just a magnet for scams.
Oh, he's a genius though. I was just rooting for him every time because he was like, I take the L so you guys can take the W's. He's like, I lose so you guys can win. He was fucking great. I loved his whole outlook on life, and while he got absolutely wrecked, and while he did scam after scam after scam, and everyone's like, hey man, you gotta stop doing all these scams, and he's like, no man, stake it till you break it. He's like.
Like,
and he would
hey
get
man,
liquidated.
just buy Ether, buy like something.
Yeah, buy something that's like that
solid.
that other people are also buying.
Yeah.
Not this shit where it's like no market cap, like nobody.
Well, there's always going to be people looking for a get rich quick thing.
That's what most of crypto is. Let's be real. It's
Right.
90% of people are like, I'm going to be a millionaire in 10 days. And
Yeah, and they're also the ones that are crying and saying crypto is over every time the market dips a little bit.
oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a huge bear market just from like end of January to like 2 weeks ago, and yeah, man, people acting like it's over and crypto's dead.
Yeah, they'll say
But
crypto.
if you bought in like last September versus even when the lowest point of the market was, you were still up. So yeah, a lot of people who bought in January while the market was at the peak
Yeah.
can't believe their eyes that it's correcting. So shit like that. To me, this is all like a long-term thing where it's like, if you believe that this is the next rail of the economy, if you believe that this is like the next level of the internet, which I do, I think it's like internet 3.0.
Yeah, whenever you're investing, believe in what you're investing in, and also if you're not sure, use money that it's okay to lose. That if you came up, it'd be great, but if you lost it, it's not going to ruin your life. Because these people putting their whole life savings into something that they have absolutely no idea what it is about, but they hear all the hype, and so they buy in and they buy whatever coin is being hyped or whatever.
Yeah, and they get religious, man. Don't get religious about it. Where
Don't make
it's
it
like
your identity.
my coin will win and your coin will lose, and there's a lot of that out there. Tribalism with like, oh, it's my
Coins,
coin,
yeah.
and everything else is a scam, and you got to only buy my coin. Everyone go all in on my coin. It's just it can be.
What's the difference between this and stocks?
Well, you don't own any percentage of any of the companies with crypto, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like with stocks, you can hold up a piece of paper and go, I own part of Apple Corporation, even though you own no part of what the fuck they do at all. So it's a big, that's the big scam
Hey, when they
there.
have a shareholders meeting, I get to vote.
Right, but hey, but what it is there too is the same shit where it's like it's worth this much money, and if you're Larry Ellison, you can buy a stake of Apple and have something to say on the board, but the rest of us, we get a little certificate. You know what I mean?
I don't even think you get a certificate.
And if it runs up, though, you're like, hey, cool, I sold it for like $1,000 or whatever amount of money, and good job. And by the way, this is not a hate on stocks. It's just a different thing. But with crypto,
people compare the two a lot, and I think they're so different. And I just think it's important for people out there that are like, oh, I already know I do stocks or whatever. Like it's different.
No, with crypto, you own like what the company's doing, like their actual application, the actual thing that they're working on is what you own. You don't own the company at all. You own like hopefully the network that they build or whatever the use case is that they're launching. You own part of the success of that.
So what's next, Steve? Like what's Steve Greene's like hot go-tos, huh? Like what do you see happening?
Like I was saying earlier, I mean some of these projects like where the idea that you don't have to go to a bank to get a loan for a house The idea that you don't have to go to a particular, like, people do payday loans and all this stuff to get out of a bad situation that you're in. The idea that one day, someday, hopefully soon, within the next like few short years, like really close, like you'll be able to potentially leverage your crypto for these things, for these loans and things. You won't have to go to financial institutions to make all that happen. Now, that could not happen at all. But that's where I think that's what makes me the most excited.
Yeah.
Is the idea that people wouldn't have to like go to all these crony regulatory, places that are that can't wait to rip you off for crazy percentages.
Right.
When you're in a desperate situation.
Oh my God.
You'll be able to use your cryptocurrency and whatever value is attached with it to borrow against. And then you can get BitMEX wrecked.
And then you can get what?
BitMEX wrecked. That's what I was talking about earlier.
Oh.
That's stupid.
Like, you just said a foreign word.
Yeah, you bet.
All right. Well, I mean, that's a lot of information.
Yeah, man. I'm sorry. Look, if you have questions, we could do another one, man.
Yeah, email us at podcast@nikki.limo.
Obviously, I'm passionate about it.
And by the way, you can email anytime about any subject, like any topic that we talk about on the show in general. And I separate them into categories, and then we answer them as they come. So there's that. If you have any questions about crypto or anything, just send it to podcast@nikki.limo, nikki.limo. But hey, that's an overload of information. I think it's better to get as much information as possible. You can listen to this episode over and over and over again. There's no limit to how much you can listen to it. And also, if you want to rate it and subscribe,
we'd love it. Please, that helps a lot.
That would really be awesome for us. But Steve, if I'm a new person interested in crypto, what's like I want to know, like, what's your favorite ones to like just do research on, to go like research?
Look into what Omisego is doing, because I really think, as far as like a coin that you can just buy and hold and sit on for a while, I think what they're working on could be absolutely insane if they pull it off. It's really exciting stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel the same way about that one's probably my most
That's the shiniest,
exciting hold.
the shiniest
Yeah,
one right
yeah,
now.
that's the one that I'm like, man, if they really did this, that would be pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It's called Omisego or OMG. They're already a company in Thailand that they already process billions of dollars of transactions a year. And so it's not like a, podunk, like we don't even know who these people are.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the main guys in Ethereum are at the company. Vitalik Buterin's one of their chief advisors. And Vitalik doesn't just go into anything. Like Vitalik even said recently in a tweet, he said, Omisego is one of my favorite tokens I think is my favorite token for proof of stake. Like he likes what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And a lot of their people too, like they have Joseph Poon, who's one of the Ethereum main founders. A lot of the team is amazing. And that's what everyone likes to say. The memes is always like, great team. Like, great.
Oh, and by the way, you like touched on proof of stake being about your coin doing the work versus the computer.
This is a proof of stake token.
Yeah, and it's a proof of stake token. But what that really means to people out there that don't know what that means, it's that you can make passive income generated from your tokens just sitting there doing the work for you.
Yeah, so you would stake, in this case, you would stake your Omisego tokens, and you're providing your tokens to validate transactions on this network that they're building. And they're building a global exchange that lets you or that you'll be able to transact anything for anything. So say airline miles for in like rupiah.
Yeah,
like you
can exchange your airline miles for rupiah.
You could exchange your airline miles for World of Warcraft gold. Like it's truly, I think if they do it, I think it's the most exciting thing in the whole space. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, there you go. I feel like all of my questions were answered. I tried to ask you ones that I would have not knowing anything about it, and also ones that I just have in general, like even with knowing stuff that
But
you've
this is
told
not
me.
financial advice, man. I'm just talking about what I'm excited about.
No, I just think that when we brought up investing with Joe Jitsukawa on episode 2, we talked about saving your money and investing it into something that's going to give you passive income, but we didn't tell you like what to put it into or give you ideas. So if you're like, okay, great, I know that I should put this into something that gives me passive income, but I don't know where to put it, like that's something that I think a lot of people wish they knew or wish they had someone guide them or tell them. And you could put this again into real estate. Real estate will give you passive income depending on when you buy. Like hopefully you're buying at a lower point rather than a higher point. But then like stocks and just things that you put your money into it, and then your money works for you to generate money. So the amount of money you're making a day doesn't equate directly to how many hours of work you're putting in.
Right.
Your money is making you money while you're sleeping.
But you're providing a service.
That is the
too.
point of investing.
Your money is working for you, and you're providing.
And it's providing a service.
Right.
Yeah, and that's why it's making you money.
Because you're validating transactions on a limitless network, right? So you run a node, say, and you're able to. I mean, eventually, this is way down the roadmap, right? But eventually, you're able to. Run a node on a computer or join a mining pool, and all of you are validating transactions constantly. So it's seen as a security. It's not seen as like just you're making passive income.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's what other things are doing too when you're putting your money into something. Like if you put into stocks, it's going towards helping that company grow.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that is what an investment is.
Yep, and dude, invest at your own risk. I just told you where to put your nose. I think, and that's where I put my nose. That's all I'm saying. Like where to put your nose is where I put my nose. Like I just find all this stuff interesting. Golem's really cool. Sia Coin's another really cool one.
I was gonna say
VeChain's really cool. Like I like some of what the Neo guys are working on. Like Ontology's a cool one. Like there's some really cool stuff out there. I don't want anyone to think I'm just shilling one thing. I just want to know
because you talk about different coins all the time.
Yeah.
And I know that you dabbled in building a miner for one of the coins, and I think that every time you have a new coin that you're looking at, I think it's really interesting because Steve doesn't just pick any coin. Like there's always like a really fascinating tech behind that coin, and I just think. If I was new to the space and wanted to be guided on what to look at or what's exciting, that you would know which ones to like point me towards. And then from there, you can do your own research on everything. Like all the information is free. You can go out there and Google all of this. And I encourage you to Google as much as you can about not only crypto, but each individual coin that you're thinking about investing in. So there's that. If you want to message us, podcast@nikkilimo.com. Nikki.limo. Sorry, I didn't even know my own email. And final thoughts?
Buy Dogecoin. Much wow, much coin, much value. Yeah. There's no better. I am a Dogecoin whale. I'll say that. I'll leave it at that. Mine is just save your money and put it somewhere that you're excited about. Thank you for listening. Rate and review. Thanks. Thank you.
Why didn't anyone tell me?